Okay, with the part two. Now, another aspect of this world that no one wants to talk about would be the idolatry. Let me explain. I've noticed there seems to be a redefining of words, specifically words that have been uniformly defined biblically. And I'll give you an example: marriage, love, good, evil. You know, it reminds me of that verse in, I think it's Isaiah 5:20. It says, woes to those who call good evil and evil good. You know, it's kind of like how people view the word love. You know, rarely do people view the word love in a corrective way as correction or selflessness, sacrifice, or just obeying God's commandments. Can we really love our brother without treating him as we want to be treated and base that on loving God about doing what he asks us to do? Because truthfully, we cannot love no one until we love God. Because in obeying him and obeying his word and his commands, we actually prove and give good things. For example, you know, it's God's commandments to tell you not to lie, not to steal, not to kill, you know, to honor your mother and father. And these things are to set order, because some degree we can't accept that words have been hijacked, especially for the younger generations. They go out thinking that they're in love, but they're in lust. Lust is the imitator of love. Selfish. You know if it's lust if you're only basing it on how you feel personally and not thinking about what you're giving or how you're treating someone else and what you're reflecting, and does that reflect the nature of God? You know, it's really how a clever deception has been in the works in this world for probably since Jesus walked the earth. People don't really want to understand that why Jesus came biblically. He did not come for peace, but he came for a sword to separate his people from the world. And people have to realize that a lot of people are walking around defining things on a corrupt view based on just their own selfish heart. And they get mad when the consequences and the results from that choice hurt and damage them. But narrow is the gate in the way that leads to life, and few there be that find it. It has to be narrow, and that narrowness is already defined by how Jesus lived. Oftentimes people say, well, nobody can do that. That's Jesus. Yeah, but he's setting the standard for what is right and wrong, about how he dealt with everything and how he dealt with people in certain situations and how he dealt with those who hated him. See, he's drawing the standard, not us and our short-sighted, selfish, convenient benefits that we think are going to benefit us in the long run. They usually don't. So, I just think that we have to be honest about the idolatry. People want to blame, the church has a lot of corruption in it, but it's not based on biblical truth. It's idolatry. The Bible says my people suffer for lack of knowledge. Well, people that actually don't know what's the right way. If you let someone tell you something that you didn't confirm yourself, well, you have no verification is what they said is true or not. You'd be surprised how many people will respond to what I tell them, that's actually a Bible verse, and they're confessing Christians. And you know what they respond back to me with? You're judging me. And keep in mind, they asked me an opinion on something. I gave them God's answer. And they automatically referred that to my opinion or to how I felt, because that's how they function. You know, and it makes it hard to communicate with people because people already have their minds made up. They're just looking for something to confirm the answer they already made about that situation. To truly deny yourself, take yourself out of the way, you know, and see whether you're on the right side of good or evil. First, you know, it's funny what Jesus said. He said, first take the beam out of your eye, and you will be able to see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. That's the right, proper judgment we are to have, to make sure that we first are not blind before we condemn someone else as blind, or we first are not lost before we condemn someone else as lost. And it's amazing because the Bible is so real to me because it's in my life. People don't understand. I see it. This is not me just blindly believing things because other people in my life believed it. It's evident. I see the Bible alive. Have people really had faith on what it says and applied it? You know, a good example would be, it's two types of people who read a book. Some people read a book, you know, just seeing it as a book, not really trusting in it, but kind of seeing how the book entertains them. Some people read a book desperate, knowing they gave up on everything else, hoping that this book actually has the answers they need, and they do whatever that book says, trusting that it's true. Well, many people have not tried applying that to the Bible. You know, they read it almost looking for things to question, looking for things to prove against something. They don't really actually see that book as a book of life because they don't come to it seeking help. You know, when the world is giving up on you and all your intellect, all of these psychiatrists, all of these people who really are just for profit are telling you these things, and they've given up for you, and you have nothing else, and you turn to God and you read that book believing on what it says, and you really believe, just doing it will give a result because everything else has failed you. You'd be surprised what will be revealed. But people just don't read the Bible like that, you know. A lot of people don't want to condemn their own unrighteousness. You know, it says that in Romans. It says, the wrath of God is revealed against all those who hold the truth in all unrighteousness. And it's true because people don't want the Bible to be true, because it condemns everything we do pretty much. But that's not a problem because we should already condemn all the things we do. We know when we're right or wrong. We're just lying to ourselves. And I think people have to be, you know, just understand that. I mean, there is a solution. We shouldn't have to go through a tragedy of our own doing to realize that we were wrong, when we can see that ahead of time and knowing that, okay, nothing good is going to come from something bad. And likewise, when people do wrong against us, just because somebody did wrong against me doesn't mean I have to give the same wrong to them. If I really see what they're doing is bad, the last thing I want to do is be like them, because I'm not going to measure myself by them. I'm measuring myself by the standard of my Creator, the only one whose view of me does matter, because He determines if I live to see the next day, if I breathe, whether I'm homeless, or what He allows in my life for whatever purpose I'm too short-sighted to see. And that leads to another point. People don't understand the aspect of God knows the beginning and the ending. And we can all agree that we are defined by these experiences in our lives. And no matter how hard or how bad they may seem, for those who actually did come through the fire, refined, they have a new dependence on trusting God because of that experience. Because they would not have submitted themselves, they would not have bowed that knee to God any other way unless that situation came. And now they feel a freedom that they never thought was possible, even through whatever happened to them, to where they finally feel free of themselves, their own flesh, their own evil within their hearts. They feel free from that. They feel a joy in knowing that God can use the worst situation to produce something good. So what can he do from the best of what we do to produce something good? Now they look for that eternal weight of glory that comes when we leave this world. So now we have a hope beyond this world. So whatever happens in this world doesn't define us in the end, because this world is not the end. And we all know this. That's the true reason why we fear death. Not because we feel our body weakening, because we know, based on how we are and what we feel inside, that we are more than what we are told we are. Everyone knows this. This is why we truly expect more from people, because we do have that imprint of God's Spirit within us, regardless to whether we reject it or suppress it or not. It's there. It's the reason why the unbeliever often hates God. And I always used to say, well, it's real interesting. Does the unbeliever believe in God, or do they just hate him? And if you hate God, does not conflict with you not believing in him? Because your hate actually validates his existence. But that's a video for another day. So I'm just off the cuff right now. Hopefully I'm making sense. And, we'll see what happens next. Peace out.